since we have been on this very special focus on it's time for a gospel revolution. You know, revival, renewal, those are all good words, but we're using the word revolution. We need to cut to the root of the tree. Some things have really gone wrong, and people are rediscovering the grace and unmerited favor of Jesus Christ. But of course, the way we've been talking about it, pretty strong programs over the last couple of weeks. People are asking questions. So Megan, you're ready with a heavy. We're just going to take one today because you got a heavy one, I understand.
It's a loaded one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Here we go. It's from Harry. Peter, I've heard the teaching of grace, and I wondered if someone teaches grace and sins themselves, does it discredit the message?
Let me make sure I get it right. So if somebody is teaching a message of grace and then they sin themselves.
They sin themselves.
Does that discredit the message?
Yes.
Well, I think anytime someone involves in sin, there can be a discredit, but I wouldn't pin this on the message of grace. You see, many people are involved in all kinds of legalistic, self-effort religion, and they are sinning and covering it up and hiding and pretending. But interestingly enough, the question you are asking, the Apostle Paul answered it very, very directly. So obviously somebody would have asked him the same question. And the answer is found in the book of Galatians. Let me set the stage for you. Paul had gone to Galatia, which is today where the nation of Turkey is. And these people were not Jewish people. They didn't know about the law of Moses. And they had their own sacrificial religions. They had sacrifices to their gods and goddesses and always felt inadequate, that the sacrifices weren't good enough. And then Paul came and preached this message of the gospel, the good news that Jesus has put away your sins. You don't need to make any more sacrifices. It's already done for you. Well, the people received it. They were so happy. They were free. They were just thrilled. They were grateful to the Apostle Paul. But then, we don't know if it was 2 or 3 years later or 10 years later, but sometime later, certain Bible teachers came to this church in the province of Galatia, and they said, well, you know, this message of grace, of course, is good. We all need God's grace, but you need grace plus. You need grace plus there's some other things as well that you need to add to it. And they began to seduce the people. Paul says they were perverting the people. He really uses strong language. And so now the people were mixing, trusting in Jesus with their own effort. And Paul, his language is so strong, he calls what they were doing witchcraft, a seduction, a perversion. I mean, it was slap in your face kind of language he was using to jolt the people. And he then in the book of Galatians, he makes this tremendous statement about what we're talking about and what we need today in our country and around the world, the gospel of the grace of God, which is the only gospel there is. But then in that, the question must have been raised, well, what about if somebody who is preaching this, like the Apostle Paul, or like guests that I have on our program here, what if such a person sins? What about that? Wouldn't that discredit the message of what Jesus Christ has done? Wouldn't that discredit the message of grace? So let me read the answer to you here. Here's what the Apostle Paul says. And remember now, the context is this explosive argument he's making for turning the Galatians back to the message of grace. And then he says, if while we seek to be justified by Christ, he says, we who are seeking and believing in justification only by what Jesus has done, what if we ourselves are found sinners? So there you have it. What if a person like that, who's totally trusting in the grace of Jesus Christ, what if such a person sins? Then he says, is Christ therefore a minister of sin? Should we pin this on Jesus Christ? Should we blame Jesus for it? Certainly not. For if I build again those things which I destroyed, I make myself a transgressor. He answers this right there. He's saying, you know, if I sinned, he said, I who am this teacher of this message of grace, even if I sin, don't blame it on Jesus. Don't blame it on the message of what Jesus has done. It's not Jesus' fault. He says, I make myself a transgressor. I did it. And so here you have a very healthy answer to this question. If anybody sins, we did it. Don't blame it on Jesus. And the fact is this, many people teach a very legalistic, condemning message, and they sinned under the cover, so to speak. And they hide it and pretend it. But of course, people can fail. People fail, but it's never the fault of the message of God's grace. It's never Christ's fault. It's our responsibility. I hope that gave you some food for thought. The book of Galatians has so many answers to these questions.